Zoom to share his observations. Mr. Ndou, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Globe.
Good evening to you, Simpiwe. Good evening to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me tonight.
Just under 500,000 people registered by the end of yesterday. Are these numbers to write home about, or is it a reflection of the enthusiasm by South Africans that they really want to cast their ballots and make their voices heard come November the 1st?
Remember, when the IEC made a request for the postponement of the elections, we had citizens that were complaining that they couldn't register because of a number of reasons. And if we've been able to reach the 500,000 mark, it's a clear indication that if this opportunity was not given to some of these citizens, they would have been deprived a right to vote. And indeed, if you look at the numbers and the expectations of the IEC, one would say that indeed we are in an election mode, full swing, and that is why we've found this kind of a response. Quite encouraging is that amongst those who have actually registered, we've actually seen a lot of young people going out to register, mostly for the first time, and it was also more encouraging to see some of them having been accompanied by elders or by their parents or guardians to go and register. And this, for me, is an indication that our democracy is getting stronger and stronger, and most people are eager to become participants in the democratic system.
You're quite right there, Mr. Ndou. We've seen an increased number of young people going to the polls to register, but there's still a greater concern among the younger voters, among the younger electorate about the underrepresentation of younger people on the voters' roll. But they still, despite that, continued to make their voices heard. So what makes you think that they were so enthusiastic about going out to register, yet they feel they are underrepresented?
Well, indeed, the numbers are quite small of young people as expected. And I think we need to look at the role that the IEC has actually played and the different political parties have actually played. If you look at the political setup in South Africa generally, is that politics has always been left to the hands of the older people, and young people will only be invited to participate through a vote. But gradually, we seem to be observing a shift wherein younger people, though in smaller numbers, seem to be getting more and more and more interested. Apart from the role that the IEC is playing and the different political parties are playing, I think we also need to take this battle to the different leaders in society, either churches, social groups, families, so that they should also play a role in encouraging young people to actually go and participate in registering and also in voting. Quite interesting again is that, and encouraging, is to see that some of the political parties had to go to tertiary institutions where a lot of young people are actually found to encourage these young people to become active participants in this exercise. And I think that is a constituency that is quite necessary to participate in this activity. But I think as time goes, we might see the number of young people growing bigger and bigger because the interest in politics seem to be getting towards the hearts of younger people now.
Let's talk about voter apathy, both generally speaking and voter apathy in younger people. What is the depth of such apathy as we speak?
Well, we still have a huge challenge that relates to voter apathy. And it is influenced by a number of factors. Firstly, is what I've actually indicated earlier, that young people mostly don't seem to be interested in political activities. And in terms of decision making in society, most young people are not involved because these decisions are mostly taken by older people. And there has always been a say in the past that says that politics is not for young people, and that will actually create a situation where young people either focus on other things and leave politics to older people. Another area that I think influences voter apathy amongst young people is that when it comes to programs that affect or that are in the interest of young people, you don't see government getting more involved in such programs. For an example, you have got a lot of young people who are educated and skilled, who are actually not getting employment, and they actually expected government to do something for them, and government does not seem to be having a better solution to address these issues, and that creates a situation where young people say, we don't seem to be a factor in South African politics. Another aspect again will be that there are very few programs, political programs, that will actually attract young people to participate in political activities. Even though you have had institutions that would encourage young people to participate in civic matters, to participate in developmental initiatives, you would always hear some of young people saying, this is actually created for the chosen few. And that creates a situation where they lack interest. So in my view, you need political parties, you need organizations broadly in society to actually conscientize young people to get involved on matters that actually strengthens our democracy.
You're making a very interesting and a valid point about, the institution of some of the programs, to conscientize the youth about the importance of voter democracy. And you mentioned some other, people who may come into the fore in terms of implementing that. What about the IEC? What about the Electoral Commission then in the non-election years? Shouldn't they be, hosting such programs to conscientize the youth about their own rights and about the constitutional democracy?
Well, the IEC is an institution that is created to support and strengthen our democracy has that responsibility. And I think it is time that we only don't hear about the IEC only during elections, but one would also expect the IEC in periods where there are no elections, the IEC to develop programs to conscientize people about their responsibilities, about why the IEC is in existence, about the importance of registering and indeed voting. What we have seen today, where we have seen different political parties encouraging people to go and register to vote, it was actually these parties trying to deliver on the mandate of the IEC. And there is nothing wrong with that. But I think for me, the IEC has to develop more and more programs to conscientize young people and indeed to show them the importance of participating in the election, as this is one of the rights that South Africans fought for in 1994, so that everybody should enjoy this right and indeed strengthen and make sure that our democracy gets stronger and stronger.
How do we deal with the issue of lack of accountability, especially on the part of the elected councillors who do not deliver? Because it seems then that some service delivery protests don't actually work, because the very same councillors are still in office.
Well, I think the biggest blame for me should firstly go to political parties. Some councillors are not delivering because they lack capacity. They lack skills, they are not professionals, and they actually don't know what they're supposed to be doing in council. And it is the political parties that bring these councillors to the people. And obviously, if you bring in a person who does not have sufficient knowledge, a person who doesn't know what is supposed to be done at council level, you must not expect that person to do better. Another aspect that is very important for me is that it is important to encourage citizens and indeed to make them aware that they've got a role to play in ensuring that their councillors provide feedback on a regular basis, in the sense that councillors should firstly be accountable to their parties, but indeed they should be accountable to the people who actually voted for them in office. And another area which is more important is that if you're watching at the program that Sakina was running before this one, is that there don't seem to be a situation where political parties take action against their elected representatives who do not deliver. Because what I expected to hear is that when you have actually put a municipality under administration, what then has to follow is to say, what is it that political parties have actually done to ensure that they put to book the people who are actually not delivering as expected. What I also don't expect, it's a situation where political parties would still bring in the same councillors who have actually failed in the previous administration, because that will be an indication that says that we have brought this person who has failed for you, but we're still bringing this the same person again. That will be an indication for me from the parties that says that they are not interested in serving the interests of the people.
Right. Now, Mr. Ndou, we understand that the situation is now calm at the Sakamuzi Community Hall voting station in Guatambuza area, just outside Pietermaritzburg, following a clash between ANC and EFF members. Is this incident suggesting some sort of political frustration that should worry us or should worry everyone?
Well, I think firstly, all South Africans would prefer to have a situation where we have free and fair elections. South Africans will prefer to have a situation where when there are campaigns, they should not be associated with any form of violence, intimidations, and conflict. South Africans are peace-loving people, and incidents like what we actually observed today is something that should not be accepted, and it is something that political leaders, different political party members should ensure that that does not actually happen, because that has a potential to taint the image of the entire election process. And I think it is time that those that are given responsibilities to act against people who behave in an acceptable manner should actually do so immediately, so that such incidents do not have to spread from one area to other areas. And at the end of the day, what we expect in South Africa is to have free and fair elections, and indeed violent free elections that are credible, that will be acceptable to everybody.
All right, Mr. Ndou, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
That is political analyst Levy Ndou, just giving us an overview of the voter registration weekend, which ended a little earlier today.